Hey everybody, welcome to Turn 2 Germany. Well, we'll just start over here. The Germans did a minor offensive. They eyeballed maybe hitting there, but the odds weren't in their favor. And the Germans never been at this juncture in favor of bad odds. So they attacked here with their armor and infantry and against a weaker unit there and got a full retreat. They fell back, and I do believe that's just, yeah, they had take a slight loss there, a step loss on one of the units on their armor. And then they attacked over here, hit a unit here that was already had one step loss, took it out, and ended up here. They couldn't go any farther because it was like a zone of control right there. And then they attacked another unit here that tried to escape out of the area, but they didn't have any route to go due to the fact that there was zone of control everywhere. So they ended up getting eliminated. And so that ended up that. And then the Germans attacked here, took this unit, kicked it out over to here, and they lost, instead of wanting to lose one of their armor, they lost one of their, one of their guards, infantry, that already had a step loss, so they got kicked out and was lost in the juncture. And then they attacked right here, since it was zone of control here. They attacked there and kicked the unit to here. So they got booted out of there with a good assault. And now that all the combat's done, we can remove this. So that those guys are now back in action for later on. There were two one-step loss infantry units here and here. And the Germans attacked. One took it out, and the other one attacked and went 1-2 to here, cutting off any retreat there. And then there was two combats here. The Germans had cut off any route of escape for the Russians there, and basically took out two stacks worth of infantry. So that's why you got a big pile of infantry sitting there. So there was two lost infantry units because they were already one step lost, and then there was a bunch that were cut off and no place to run to. And then over here, the Germans attacked a unit that was here and cut it off there. And then they had another, took the unit that pushed it out. Where'd it go? Oh, there was an attack here. There was a step loss there, but they made their what do you call it, defense roll and didn't leave. And then the Germans attacked north, cutting off the area up there. And then they did another pincher attack over here and cut another unit off. It had no place to go. Couldn't escape out of enemy zone of controls and was eliminated. So there was like a loss of 3 units right there. And then we had a attack that happened here. It was a cross unit attacked here, pushed this unit out, full retreated to here, and then there's these units right here attacked here and then pushed into there. So that was the end result, and you can see the disrupted units sitting there in full retreat for the Russians. So looking at everything at the moment, it does look like this NKVD unit is out of supply at the end of the Russian turn, so I don't see why they can get any supplies to it, because it's going through all these zone of control. So they isolated this one unit here, actually just two sitting there. So those two have been cut off. Now these 3 and I'd say this one still has supply because they can get it through this hex, because there is a bond between those two. So I would say they have supply there. And so it's like they can run a supply down this road right, this road right there to those. So they're almost cut off. So it's not looking good for the Russians right there in that pocket. So they got to figure out how to get out of that pocket during their turn. All right, so that is the German turn with everything that happened. And we'll be back. All right, buddy, it's turn 3, Soviet style. And what we have is the Soviets attacked here to there. And had a 4-1 and rolled a 1, so there was a DR, and they did their defense in place, held the line. Then they had decided to attack here, and we got a defender. It was an exchange, I believe it was. And so they lost a step loss on both sides, and they made their defense, so they stayed. Okay, here the NKVD decided to try to get out here and escape, and because they know they're going to be out of supply here soon. So they attacked here, moved here and attacked, and the end result was both sides had to lose a step loss. The only reason is like attacked at 1 to 2 odds, but with the being elite versus those, at least they had moved it and sort of in their favor. And what else? We had an attack here, and it was at a 1 to 2 odds. It became 1 to 1, and it was a roll of a 1 or a 2 is like attack or attrition or something like that. So they had to lose a step loss on one of their attacking units, and that's what happened there. Okay, over here they've trying to get back out of being cut off here. They're in supply, but they're soon to be cut off. So they moved and did an attack on this infantry right here, and ended up with once again, it was I think it was an attack or attrition or something of that nature, where they had a step loss on one of their attacking units. Then over here, they just fell back, getting back behind the river here, trying to form a line there. Fell back, formed a new line in front of, was that Rostov, I think this is. And so trying to shore up their defenses, and they took a major hit in that last turn where the Germans just cut off large swaths of their army. Those panzers can move pretty quickly. It's like when you got something that moves 6 hexes, it can get behind you really quick if they don't have to go through enemy zone of control, so they can dive around and just cut you to pieces and hit you first, and you have no place to escape to, and well, the end result is you're losing large chunks of troops with the following on infantry. So armor attacks first, cuts the lines off, and then the infantry can turn around and do their attacks, and the result is that once the infantry attack, you got no place to go because the armor cut you off. Standard operating procedure for the early Germans. And it's kind of hard to fight against it, honestly, so far of what I've seen, because when you got mostly infantry, it's slow to react. That's been my experience so far. But the Soviets will now have to flip some of these counters over, where the full retreats will become disrupted, and this disrupted stuff's going to become normal again. All right, so we'll be back with the German turn. It'll be turn 4, so we get to move the counter to turn 4. All right, so what's coming in? They got a few replacements coming in for the Germans. They do need a few because they do have some casualties out there, and I guess the Russians will get 1 infantry. Well, that's a cav. They do have a cav somewhere out there that's hurt. So, we'll see. All right, we'll be back.